Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Rewind that. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I go live, when I upload videos like this one. So tonight, for our moonlighting session with Miss K, we are talking about The Crown. Yes, we are starting the journey. Some of you have been asking, so I've decided to deliver. All right, so we're talking about The Crown season 5, episodes number 1 and 2. Now, the first episode is called Queen Victoria Syndrome. Let's get right into that episode, guys, because it was pretty good. And listen, the second episode was even better. So let's get into it. All right. Hey, Savannah. Good morning, honey. All right. So we have a flashback of Queen Elizabeth. And one thing I do like about The Crown is how they have us see the original actress that started this whole journey for us. And so I definitely love that part, how they keep, they keep her in every series, at least in some type of flashback, which I definitely enjoy. I also like how they kind of have this thing where, if y'all notice, all the actresses, no matter their age difference, they sound alike pretty much. Like they all have like the same type of accent. When I say accent, I'm not talking, because being from England, you can have different accents, but the way they speak and the tone of their voice and everything, it sounds, pretty, it's even, you know what I'm saying? Even with the Prince Phillips, the changing of those actors, they all kind of have like the same way of speaking and all that stuff. All right. So let me say hi to Tina and Michelle. Hey guys. All right, so let's get into this. So what she's doing here is she's naming the new royal yacht. All right, and she's named it the Britannia. Okay. So now we have her in like their present day of whatever time this is. And, she's at her annual physical, and we see that she's gained some weight each year. They're saying she's gained like a pound or whatever. So, that's not really exciting for her, because she's, older, and she's saying, well, how long is it? What am I going to do to like lose weight or whatever? So, he's saying it's just natural for women as they get older to just gain weight. And she said, well, she wants to set a new goal to where she could at least lose, I think, half a pound, I think she said. All right. So then we see Prince Charles, and he's told that a poll from the Sunday Times reported that the people view the Queen as old and irrelevant, expensive, and out of touch, right? And on the other hand, the people view Charles as empathetic, young, energetic, and modern. And half of those people thought that he would make an excellent king. So instead of defending his mom, what does Charles do? He wants to know when the heck this paper or this story will be running, because first of all, he wasn't really expecting that anybody was going to be saying these good things about him, and plus we know that he kind of, from the past seasons, we've always seen that he needs some type of reassurance all the time. Like there's something seriously wrong with this man's self-esteem. So it does not matter. Like if it comes to the detriment of his mom, he does not give a crap. He is so here for like, when is this story going? Instead of saying, are you crazy? Like, we're not airing no story like that about my mom. He doesn't care. It said something good about me. Oh, okay. When is it coming out? Terrible person. And then I don't know who the heck these people thought they were. I mean, like what they were seeing at the time. Maybe, obviously it had to be from the outside looking in, because he is not empathetic. Okay. Not empathetic at all. He does not give two craps. He has a mistress all this time, and he doesn't give a crap about what Princess Diana feels about it or thinks about it. So how the heck could he be empathetic? Okay, moving on from this horrible guy. All right, so now Charles is also told, before we move on, he's also told that, a big prospect of him being king is that Diana will be queen. That's what the people are looking forward to as well, right? So they took the liberty of booking them a second honeymoon. Okay, so they get to the second honeymoon, and Diana is now annoyed because Charles invited his cousin Norton and his whole freaking family. And, she's like, of course, like Camilla might as well be here, because it's basically taking away his opportunity to spend time with her and their sons. So, it's just a whole fake thing. Okay. So now they have to go, do their little pretending because they're on the royal yacht, mind you guys. Okay. So they got to do their little pretending. And he's like, how about we give them some of the old magic? And she's like, okay, let's go. So they're going over there and they're waving to all the people. And then they, he gives her a little kiss and all of this stuff. It's amazing how, like, celebrities, even though they're royals, it's amazing how they have to put up this front. Like, celebrities do it and so do royals. Like, they all have to put up this front for the public. Okay, so now look at that beautiful yacht. Could you imagine being on such a yacht like this, guys? And then, like, you could just be on this thing for a few weeks, and as big as it is, you really don't have to go anywhere. You could just be on this thing and just enjoy the moments. Oh my, like, look at the sunset over there. Like, everything is just so freaking beautiful. Amazing. And look at the space. It's just crazy. It's incredible. So anyway, so now Charles is kind of going over the plans and of activities and everything for what they're going to do during this vacation, in which they call a holiday, right? And so, she's saying, oh, water sports and this and that. And, he kind of has these sarcastic remarks and everything. And then when she says, oh, I want to go shopping, he was like, shopping? Like, the whole point of us being on this yacht is so that we can kind of get away from the public and things like that, and all of, shopping stuff, So, like, by show of hands, who here wants to go shopping besides Diana? So he's, kind of like trying to make her feel a little small and everything. And the boys notice it, and the sad thing about it is you have nobody there to have her back. Everybody's there for him, you know what I'm saying? And so, she says show of hands, nobody raised their daggone hands, not even to save her. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about her. But the boys notice, and they see what's happening and what this guy, their own father, is doing to their mother and how it's making her feel. So even the youngest one was like, I want to go shopping. So they had to go on ahead and put the shopping on the list. And then, later on, she was like, thank you so much for coming to my rescue. And just really keeps showing us how sad her life was. All right, guys. So next we have Charles, and he talks to his cousin Norton, and he tells him that his marriage seems to make everyone else happy but him, that it makes him gloomy. Okay. And he even referred to him and Diana as the bride and gloom. Meanwhile, his cousin is dealing with, like, a daughter in remission from cancer, and they're still dealing with it, obviously, because they're just concerned about her hair's growing back and all of this. So he does kind of apologize for, saying how he feels and complaining and everything when his cousin is going through what he's going through. Okay. So, like I said, once again, we see how selfish Charles is, because Diana is not happy either. Like, how can he say, oh, it only seems to make me gloomy, it makes everybody else happy? And he ain't even thinking about Diana. Like, you still got Camilla by your side. So how unhappy can you really be? Like, Anyway, so next, the royal staff, they make sure that they keep the Sunday paper away from Queen Elizabeth because they don't want her to see the insulting remarks. Okay, guys. And it's definitely some messed up stuff. Obviously, as we went over, some messed up stuff on there. But Prince Philip, he sees it. So it says, Queen should abdicate in favor of Prince of Wales. And could you imagine that this is something that her son is in favor of? This is something that he doesn't mind. He's all for it. Like, yeah, get my old mama out of here so I can be king. And let me tell you guys something. The fact that this man was so on board trying to move his mom out the way, I feel like it's karma that she stayed around so daggone long. Like, she just died and he's old as heck now. So his reign ain't gonna be that long. Like, this lady stayed around for a minute, okay? Which is great. I'm not saying nothing wrong with that, but that's awesome. And especially when you got people like this, your own child, who's ready for you to just move on out the way. Okay. But anyway, Prince Philip, he's saying, how could they do this? She has been magnificent as queen and she never complains, yet they could print such rubbish. And it's definitely a change from the old hating Prince Philip that we used to have in previous seasons. The one who didn't want to bow or kneel to his wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, do I have to kneel? Just he just wasn't with it. That was if you watched House of the Dragon, that was Matt. Oh my gosh, I forgot his last name. I knew his last name this whole time, but right now I can't remember it. But yeah, that was old Damon, honey, for you. Kind of get a little glimpse of Prince Damon. Like, I don't want to kneel for my wife, the queen. I don't want to kneel for my brother, the king. Like, no. Anyway, back to the crown. So, like I said, a nice little change. So next we have Charles, who tells his assistant to arrange a meeting with the prime minister when they get back. Okay, because when they find out that when his assistant tells him that the queen didn't see the the article, he was like, it's because they wanted to protect the queen's feelings. And he was like, well, doesn't that tell you everything you need to know? And I'm like, he is a piece of freaking work. Okay, so now here we see that Diana finds out that Charles is cutting the vacation short, and she's like, you know what, like, of course you couldn't, I know this is hard for you being a family man and a father to the boys and this and that, but I have agreed to the second honeymoon trip and to do a photo shoot or whatever she called it, some type of photo thing that they were supposed to do. And it was requested by his people, right? And she was like, it's so that the lie could be paraded around that you're an adoring husband. And she tells Charles that, she only agreed to doing the photo shoot on one condition that he would actually show that he is an adoring husband. So they're arguing and all of that stuff, and you know how it goes. Next we see them, they're actually on this smaller boat, and they are in front of all these people, and they're taking pictures. People are taking pictures of them. And then we see this guy here, I think this is Andrew Morton, who we'll see more of him in the next episode. So we kind of get a little preview of him, how he's been around. Like, he's a reporter, and he's kind of stalking the situation a little bit, but he's more of a sympathizer of Diana, which we will find out more about him later. All right, so we're really just getting to see how sad Diana's life is, and I do feel really sad for her, and especially the fact that her life was cut short. Like, it's just like she was never happy. Like, that's the part that's sad. All right, so then we have a meeting. Charles takes a meeting with the prime minister, and he doesn't want anybody from Buckingham Palace to know. So talk about doing stuff behind people's backs and everything, right? He asked the prime minister if he saw the poll that came out about the queen and what his conclusions were of them, right, of the poll. And the prime minister tells Charles that it's just a poll. And Charles was like, well, it's kind of dangerous to ignore the poll and what the people are saying. And the prime minister says, well, it's just as dangerous to be guided by them. And I was like, yes, honey, thank you. Tell him, say that, okay? Because this is some backstabbing mess right here. All right. So Charles was basically trying to say that it's time for some modernity and to just do away with the old, which is disgusting, to be honest. I mean, I cherish old people and old things. All right, so I can't really get with him on this. Now, unfortunately, guys, Queen Elizabeth, she found out that the paper actually came out and it was delivered. And she's like, okay, well, if it was delivered, can I please get it? Her servant tells her, ma'am, like, he has to confess that there were some nasty things that are not true that was said about you. And she said, well, I'd like to be the one to decide that. And unfortunately, she gets a hold of it and she reads it, and it does, you can tell, it makes her feel pretty bad. All right. So now she has the meeting with the prime minister, and she wants to do what she wants the government to do what they can to repair the royal yacht. And he tells her that he thinks that the crown should take care of those expenses, because as far as he's concerned, the government shouldn't be like, he's afraid that by spending money on the yacht, it might backfire. Because at this point, he's not looking at it the way she's looking at it. She's like, oh, it's been such a service to the people and this and that. It is like, how? It does not seem like when she was saying all this stuff, I'm like, you really sound like one of these like high sedity brats that like what does how in the world does this yacht serve the people? Oh, they just can see how rich the royals are living. Like, what is a yacht floating around the water doing for me? And of course not me as a US citizen, but what is it doing for the people in the UK? Like, what is it, like going around feeding homeless folks or delivering packages of clothes in the wintertime and all? Like, I don't understand, like that stuff was not made clear. So her saying all this stuff, it just sounds ridiculous. And it just sounds like something that she just holds dear. And if she could just say that, that would be fine. Look, I hold this dear to me, and that's just what I want. And it's kind of what she had to end up saying, because he was like, I just don't think this is something. I think y'all should take that on your own, because it's pretty much a luxury. That's what it is. It's a luxury for you guys. It's not really anything that's servicing the country. So what are you talking about, right? And that's when she was like, listen, guys, I don't know if y'all realize it, but I have. And she does not really put her foot down like that. And I'm like, what kind of queen? Like, you don't put your foot down for nothing. Like, everybody kind of tells you what they think and this and that. And you're like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's how we have to do things. So she tells him, listen, as sovereign, I hardly ask for anything. I don't ask for nothing. And I've kept that in the pocket, so that when I finally do ask for something, nobody asks me any questions. They just do what the heck I'm asking them to do. And that's that. So, she said, so now, what I need from you is to make the arrangements and let me know after these arrangements are made. Like, get the yacht fixed, okay? And he said, yes, I can do that. So I was kind of proud of her for finally sticking to something and using her power, finally exercise that power. I mean, gosh, because she really like used to just be letting everybody come in and tell her this and tell her that. I feel like the only person that she used to give pushback to was Margaret Thatcher, and I believe it was because that was another woman. Other than that, she was letting everybody else just ride all over her daggone behind. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let's move on. So now we get to the ball. And, one thing that is said, they try to say, oh, here, these things can really, get out of hand or whatever, not in the worst way, but, and the queen says, oh, I'm afraid that, the real fun happens when I go to bed. And it really just shows, like, everybody was all silent when she was leaving. They had their little formal dances. And it turned out to be kind of true that when she went to sleep, they really was like out here partying. Like, we about to really, we gonna mess it up tonight. Okay. So then we have Charles, and he comes up to the prime minister and he's like, listen, I heard that you had a meeting with my mom, with the queen. And it's just like, wow, like, why don't you mind your business? So he's trying to kind of like put a little word in the prime minister's head to try to tell him something about the yacht, like, repairing old things can get costly. And that's kind of like this uh you know it's like he's talking about the yacht, but he's also talking about his mom. It's just like, that's how I looked at it. Like, you keep talking about old, just because you want to insert yourself. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, so the prime minister's looking at him like, this family is a hot freaking mess. So at the end of the episode, we see him looking out the window and he's telling his wife, like, this family is really in trouble, And look, the freaking royals, like the senior royals seem to be out of touch, and the younger royals are entitled and lost, right? And then he says the Prince of Wales fails to appreciate that his one great asset is his wife. Meanwhile, he just wants a higher rank. You know what I'm saying? And to look a certain way in the public. So the prime minister's main concern here is that he feels like things are about to really fall apart and hit the fan, and it's going to all be on his watch. And that's not good for somebody in his, in his position. Not good at all, guys. All right. So Anyway, we are about to move on to episode number 2. And that episode is called The System. And I really like how they ended this episode with the prime minister just talking about how things are kind of falling apart with the royals and all that, and it is like a system already. So then now we kind of get into this episode called The System that just shows that when one person does something that could be out of pocket, or you start talking to the press about something, it kind of just messes up a whole thing. Like, so we're going to get into that. All right. So now we got Prince Philip, and he's having this interview, and he's telling the reporter about how he gave up polo so that because he kept getting hurt, and then he picked up carriage driving. Meanwhile, there's this bird flying above his head. Now, I really need you guys to pay attention to this bird because I didn't get a chance to look it up, but I remember when I went to England to be a part of my aunt's wedding, there was a bird, but I believe it was a dove, and she freaked out, and I kept rewinding it to see if the bird that was flying ahead was a dove, and I couldn't really tell. So the second time, I'm fast forwarding now. So right now the dove is there, right? And he gets the news that Norton's daughter, the one that had cancer, she passed away. The one that was in remission, she died. So they're about to have the memorial, right? But fast forwarding to the end, and I want to bring it up now because I don't want to forget, right? So after he leaves Princess Diana to tell her that she needs to learn to just keep her mouth shut and keep that united front when it comes to the public stuff, before he gets in his car, the bird is flying above his head again. And like I said, there's a superstition over there when it comes to seeing, I think, one dove. And so we were driving one day, because I'm going to tell you my own little story why I wanted to really kind of look this up, and I am going to look it up and get back to you guys. So we were driving, and a bird was flying, and I believe it was a dove. I have to double check. And my aunt freaked out. Okay, she was like, "Oh my God!" First of all, we're in England, but she's Jamaican, so she was like, "Oh my God! Oh, that one, a bird!" So she was like, I guess it indicates bad luck. And so when she saw a second bird, she calmed down, like, "Oh, thank God," right? So there's something about seeing one bird that means bad luck, and the second bird must mean some type of good luck or prosperity or something like that. Because remember, she was about to get married. So to see that one bird flying was not a good sign for her. So I'm thinking that they keep showing this one bird. This must be a UK type of superstition about this bird, because the little girl dies, and then after he leaves Princess Diana's her house to tell her to keep her mouth shut, you see the bird again. So it's like, I don't know if that's kind of like foreshadowing her death, or just the war or the rift in the family, you know what I'm saying? But regardless, I just wanted to bring up the whole bird situation. Clearly it's not for nothing, because they wouldn't keep showing the daggone bird flying above his head. All right, so he's at the memorial, and he is taking this thing pretty hard, as far as he just wants to be there, right? There's a little girl who died. She's 5 years old. And he goes to tell Queen Elizabeth, like, there was some type of article that said that people kind of bring cancer on themselves because especially when they don't speak about their problems, like they just hold things in, which is unhealthy. And he says, so how does a 5-year-old angelic child die of cancer? So it's just like, it's just rubbish. So he goes into the room and he tells his wife that, I just want to let you know that I'm appreciative and you make me better. You bring out the better man in me. And she was like, yes, and you do the same for me, right? So anyway, guys, so next we also see that Princess Diana, she is at like a hospital. This is the type of stuff that she used to do. She used to visit all type of places, and she seems like, like this humanitarian and things like that. And her friend James is there, and he's like, oh, I saw you guys on your little second honeymoon, and y'all look happy, like things are getting better. She was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, things are getting worse. And he was like, whoa. So she kept it real. But honestly, I didn't know who he was to her. Like, I didn't know that they were really good friends. I just thought she was just keeping it too funky. But come to find out, he is a friend of hers. Okay. So I was like, oh, okay now. So anyway, now we have Prince Philip, and he visits Leonora's mother. I haven't gotten her name, I don't remember, but this is Norton's wife. Leonora is the little girl that died of cancer. So he I'm sorry, he wants to see how she's doing. We also find out that Leonora has been buried in the backyard. Her mother tells Prince Philip that, it was kind of morbid in Norton's opinion to have their daughter buried in the backyard, but she was like, I need to see her. I needed her to be somewhere I can see her every single day. And she said, but this also means that I can't leave. And he was like, why would you want to leave? And she's like, and it's just not easy sometimes. So it's just it's another thing where these people in these like noble positions and these noble families where there's like they have to stay in these marriages, unfortunately, just for the sake and reputation of the royal family and the noble families and all of that stuff, is they just not happy and freaking miserable. So now, unfortunately, she's telling him that now that she's buried her daughter in the backyard, she could never leave now. So that's another sacrifice, and just her staying in her unhappiness, kind of in some type of way mirroring a little bit of what Princess Diana was saying when she started to record. And that was when she was saying that she kind of thought about getting away from the family and taking the boys, but she knows that the crown would have taken custody of them because because the fact that they're heirs to the throne, so they can keep them, they can have custody over them, and that's that. So just kind of felt like this, just this parallel between these two characters, and they're not even like, you would think that they would be talking, but instead it's him talking to Leonora's mom. And he also takes a liking to Princess Diana as well, so it would be nice if they could have connected, but oh well. Anyway, neither here nor there, guys. So he also tells her before he leaves, he said, you should pick up a hobby. And she's like, he also said she should do a fundraiser. And then he said you should pick up a hobby. So here's the thing. She said, speaking of hobbies, we know that he's like a carriage driver now. And so he's like, well, she said, there's this carriage in here. We were going to get rid of it. Come to find out, it was supposed to be, wasn't able to be repaired. And he did everything that he could do to get it repaired. Okay. So now we get back to Princess Diana and James. And he told her that he was approached by a reporter and that he's going to go to dinner. Have lunch with the reporter and stuff like that, and play, I think, squash or something. So he's like, well, she wants to know all about it. Like, what did you guys say? Because he told her that there was definitely he was not going to be spilling no tea, right? And he said, I didn't say nothing, but I did find out a lot of things from him. He said he wants to write a book about you, but there is a book that is coming out from Charles's family. From Charles's side. And it's so-called his cooperation and with his friends. It's from his friends that are saying it. So they, if a book from Charles' side, his camp, comes out about Diana, it's not going to show her in the best light, right? It's going to be more of like, hold on, guys. Sorry. It's going to show her in probably the worst light. You know what I'm saying? Because those are people that are on Charles's team. So he was saying that, listen, if you, he will promise that this guy, Morton, he'll promise that you won't be, that it'll be discreet. No one will know that you had anything to do with it. And he won't ever even interview you. So how is this going to happen, right? Diana wants to know. Oh, we can record you. And you'll need a middleman, somebody both of y'all could trust. So he's going to be the middleman. And he comes there. He comes there with the questions that Morton has. And so now she's thinking about this, like, okay, this might be something good. Because if they got a story out coming, a book coming out about me, and I don't got no input on it, then I need to put my own stuff out there as well. Okay, so she decides that this sounds like a good plan. Meanwhile, we still have Prince Philip, and he's working with the young lady over here, and he's showing her like this can actually be fun. He's showing her how to take the reins and all of this. They went through some water and all of that, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, it's so fun." I really appreciated how he took the time to really visit her a lot and help her, to cope better, and even explain to her that he knows what grief is like from when he lost his favorite sister in a plane crash and all that stuff, and telling her that you learn to live with it. It doesn't go away, but you learn to live with it, and you will be happy again, maybe not in the same way, but in a different way. So I do appreciate him taking the time out to be with her. All right, so now we have another meeting with Morton, and Morton and what's his name? What's his name again? Morton and Andrew. No, Andrew Morton and James. Sorry, all these names. I already kind of spoke about this, so I'm kind of jumping. So this is where he was telling him that there's already a book coming out. So I just need to, if I can do a book about her, then it's gonna be shedding her in a better light. And also he said, I've been following them around and I can't stand to see her being treated like that. She's being crushed and all of this stuff. And James like, you really think so? So he's like, because she's like a sister to me. I don't want you doing anything or putting anything out there that'll hurt her. She could be naive sometimes and all that, and plus you stand to gain a lot of money from this, so he's just kind of letting it be known like, look, I'm just trying to protect her. So that's that. So what happens next is that we finally get Diana to start recording, guys. And oh my gosh, the stuff that she says, it once again just touches my heart, makes me feel so bad for this lady and what she went through. And I really hope, and obviously it's too late to hope that, but I just hope that she had some kind of happiness before she died, because this woman was in freaking turmoil, all right? So she starts recording, and one of the questions that James was told to ask was why she finally decided to do this. And so she tells him that it's because she's tried everything, right? Like I tried to speak to Charles about her, she tried to speak to Charles about her feelings and he dismissed her. She also tried to speak to the queen, and it was like talking to a brick wall. There was times that she told Charles that she what that she didn't like how the press was hounding her, taking photos and stuff, and all he could do was bring up Camilla. And so also during these recordings we find out that she was not only unhappy but troubled, and she contemplated guys, all right? She felt second place around the queen. She felt like a fish out of water or a lamb to slaughter. She couldn't even, she had no support when she had to give speeches and all of that stuff. It's like they was just sending her out there, like she said, like a lamb to slaughter. So she also developed a eating disorder, bulimia. Like we saw that in last season, we saw that. She also threw herself down the stairs when she was pregnant with one of her sons. And we also get to see how much relief this is for her. Like we can just see it on her face. So the actress did a really good job at showing how much she was able to get off her chest and how it was just a weight off, even if it didn't change her situation, it was a weight off. That's why it's so important to talk to people about what the heck you're going through, because man, keeping it bottled up inside is just not good and can definitely cause some sickness. Okay, so anyway, now James tells her that Morton needs to speak to her friends to use as additional sources. It's just to strengthen the deniability that she had anything to do with it, right? So she gives him the number of her like acupuncturist or an aromatherapist and her body worker and stuff like that. So these people don't even really sound like friends, but if you realize, it's that she probably didn't have many friends, and the people that she was confiding in were just like people that worked on her, right? Like people that rendered services to her. Like that's just how lonely this lady's life was. So very sad right there. Okay, so let's see what else we have. So now we also have this thing, and honestly throughout this episode I was afraid for this guy's life, for this is James. every time he goes to visit Diana, he's on this bike. And so he's on the bike again on his way to her. And there's this, van that keeps beeping the horn on him. And I'm like, oh gosh, is he about to get killed? Is he about to get ran over? So I was just like, oh my gosh, this is not cool. So finally he does get hit by this vehicle, but he doesn't die, thank God. And meanwhile, someone has broken in to Morton's home, and they tore the stuff up. I mean, flipped his apartment upside down. And I don't know, I don't think they stole anything, but they were probably looking for some things. Obviously, they were looking for some things. They trashed it up. Okay. So, hey, Art Love, good morning. So, let's see what else. Okay, so now we also have Norton's wife, and he tells Prince Philip about the book that's coming out and that. But here's the thing. The stuff that she said I didn't appreciate. The word got back to Norton, and Norton told the wife, and it was that Princess Diana was complaining about how everybody is jealous of her, like her popularity. And I'm like, she didn't say nothing about that when we were listening to the recordings. Nothing. So you see how it was? So like if this is like what they're showing us on The Crown is like to a T, this lady was really alone, and like nobody had her back but her sons, and they were too young to have, like, they tried, but they were too young. And that's why I wanted to also watch that other special on Netflix with her son, the one that's I think is that Harry, the one that's married to the other young lady, Megan, because he be spilling some stuff as well. And I want to go back after I watch The Crown. I'm going to go back and I'm going to watch that documentary, because I'm telling you, there was a lot of things going on with this whole Princess Diana thing. But anyway, let's move on. So now look, I liked also the way, she told him what she told him, right? But then you have Prince Philip was like, Norton knows better. That's probably just gossip. He kind of, pushed it. So let's move that over there, because I'm not about to entertain that with you right here. What he's going to do is he's going to go speak to Princess Diana on his own, okay, and getting her behind. So he went over there and he started talking about, privacy and confidentiality and all of that. Oh, guys, I forgot to mention, oh my goodness, after the situation happened with the guy, like breaking in, people getting ran over, ran off the road, and this guy Morton's house getting broken into, Princess Diana did not feel like this was a coincidence. Like somebody knows clearly, right? And now she doesn't want to speak on the phone ever again. And she tells James, she said, first of all, the other day, like, or this morning or something, I heard a click on the line, like somebody else was on the line. So I'm done talking on the freaking phone. So yeah, it's a whole bunch of stuff going on with this, guys. It's definitely conspiracy written all over it. Okay. So like I said, Prince Philip comes to see Princess Diana, and he tells her that he's on her side, but she needs to remember that she can't go around airing her grievances to the public, because that will mess up the system, right? He tells her to break all the rules if she wants, do whatever you want to do. Whatever it is, find accommodations to make yourself happy. But in public, you're supposed to be loyal to your husband and loyal to this family. And Diana was like, so I'm supposed to basically just be silent, right? And he was like, yes. And she's just like, okay. And so he was like, you're not saying anything. And she's like, there's nothing to say. And he said, that's the best thing or the wisest thing I've ever heard come out your mouth. So then he leaves. And like I said, before he gets in the car, he sees the bird flying above the head, guys. Okay. So the guys, the book comes out anyway. Okay. So we have all of it's like it's making a freaking frenzy. It's all in the papers, like everybody's talking about it. So we have here, My Life is Torture, Diana Gate, tape of love calls tape of love call reveals marriage misery. Diana driven to 5 suicide. Oh, I shouldn't even said that word. Sorry. bids by uncaring Charles. Oh my gosh, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so as this is going on, right, Morton finds himself doing lots of interviews. Okay, and so they ask him, one of the interviewers asked him if he feels responsible for tearing the royal family apart. And he says that they've been doing that to themselves already because they know or they knew what they were getting into with Diana. Like they knew that she came from a troubled home and that she needed love and all of this, but nobody gave it to her. So that was, pretty bold statement. I don't know if they knew that about her. You know what I'm saying? I have a no freaking clue. But that's pretty much how the episode ended, guys. And I'm just like, wow, this is really something. I just started watching it like this season. I've watched The Crown, obviously, since it came out. But when season 5 came out, I took my time to finally watch it. So I've only just watched episode 2, but I'm gonna try my best to come every Friday with our moonlight session and drop hopefully 2 episodes per whatever. Okay, 2 episodes per live. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think about this whole thing. And like I said, I want to give you a little more details on that superstition with the bird flying above head with Prince Philip and what that was all about. And also just kind of do a little more digging as far as the life of Princess Di and what other people have to say, because like I said, people are saying so much now. And it's after years, okay, over 20 years after her death, people are starting to say that they did this to her, like they killed her, so I don't even know if I can speak on this type of stuff during my live, because they can, do something to it, like limit it or, demonetize or whatever. So I don't know if I can talk too much about it, but hey, it's a whole freaking series, all right? So they shouldn't be trying to stop nobody's money, honey. But anyway, guys, that was that. Thank you so much for everybody that joins me. I know it's late and y'all not really saying nothing because y'all just, I don't know if you working or you just in the bed watching, but I appreciate you being here with me listening. All right, guys, I love you. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Thanks for coming through, Savannah, Tina, Michelle, our love. You guys be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.